The second trend I wanted to talk about today is around community first platforms and how they are dominating social media at the moment. These platforms have always sort of been in the top 10, top 15 list of social media sites around the world. But over the last year or so, we've seen huge increases in terms of monthly active users. Reddit now has 1.36 billion monthly active users as of early this year. Discord has hit 259 million as of April, which was um, up about 20 million on last year. And according to a podcast with the company CEO in May, Substack now has over 20 million monthly active subscribers. So, for a number of years, we've seen this move towards more niche, more community focused platforms, which are really around kind of nurturing relationships with other users, as opposed to this more broadcast led social media where you post an update and expect hundreds of thousands of people to see that. That is still possible, but it's certainly getting harder and harder than ever before to go viral. If we have a look at some of the deep dive stats on Reddit, then you'll see that by the end of October, Reddit released its third quarter 2025 results, and daily active uniques have increased 19% year on year. Their revenue has also grown 68% year on year to $585 million. And that's because a lot of people are now looking to invest in advertising on Reddit, given that their user base is a lot larger. Reddit's growth can be down to AI. The platform is one of the primary mines of valuable human curated data. A lot of the LLMs use Reddit to really look for citations and look for content that they can recommend to others. People are increasingly feeling that they want real, unfiltered community dialogue. And Reddit has become much more visible and easy to find within search engines. Often, when you do a search on Google, the Reddit community threads will appear pretty high on page one. So, they've done an awful lot of work to become a really important social media platform. And I do think 2026 will be a very big year for them. There is an environment of distrust towards traditional social media platforms as well, like Facebook, for example, and people are more likely now to be pulled towards more forum and community-led social media platforms too. Now, I'm not saying that you definitely have to be on Reddit as a brand. It's quite a unpredictable place to have a presence and only for the brave. However, it may be something where you want to consider advertising on the platform. And the Reddit advertising options are actually really great. They do have a lot of different formats that you can use, from conversation ads to product ads to ask me anythings to interactive ads, which launched recently. And the cost per click is relatively low, particularly compared to other platforms at the moment. So there's around a 10 cents to 80 cents cost per click for most consumer campaigns on Reddit. And in the B2B space, it's 50 cents to $2, which is incredibly cheap when you compare that to something like LinkedIn. Reddit has lots of different ad options, including typical images, videos, and carousels formats. So it will be interesting to see which brands absolutely nail their Reddit strategies for next year. There are, of course, other community-led platforms which are seeing great growth as part of the tail end of this year and going into next year. I'm sure that will continue. The first is Substack. Feels like everybody's got a Substack now, doesn't it? But interesting to see many brands move over to Substack this year. I think Ottolenghi is a fantastic example and one that shouldn't be ignored there. And they've been on Substack all of this year. The subscription network encompasses more than 50 million active subscriptions. So, if you're not familiar with Substack, you essentially are paying to receive content such as newsletters, updates, commentary, and analysis straight to your subscribers' inboxes without needing a separate website. You can grow a loyal subscriber base and it offers paid tiers for premium posts, creating a revenue stream without ads as well. Celebrities have moved across to Substack recently. We saw Lily Allen using it to launch her new album. We've seen success from people like Pamela Anderson using it as a way to reach her audience directly. Discord is expected to reach 689 million all-time registered users by the end of this year. And Discord allows people to build servers around topics of interest. You can see here in this example, this is a particular F1 community around McLaren. And it's a great place for you to chat with others who have similar interests. It's very popular with students for things like study sessions or even for in-company communication for specific teams. I know some dev teams that use Discord as well to chat and interact with each other. So, really interesting to see the rise of these more niche community platforms. And I wonder if that's something we'll see more of next year. This year, Spotify rolled out in-app messages for the first time for users aged 16 plus. So this feature allows you to send songs or podcasts or audiobooks to your friends. You have to be connected to each other and you can have one-on-one chats through the app. So essentially, it means instead of sending the links to a song that you like on WhatsApp, you can now do it within the app, which is pretty cool. Strava has social features so users can follow each other, post their workouts and activities, share photos and videos, and give kudos to each other's activity posts as well. My husband is a big Strava user, and essentially it's kind of a social media platform, isn't it? It might not compete with head-on, broad, general social media platforms like Facebook and Instagram, but it's actually a niche social network for those with a common interest. Same with Letterboxd. If you're not familiar with Letterboxd, it describes itself as a social platform for sharing your taste in films. Users can log in and watch and rate and review and follow others. Does anyone else use Letterboxd here? Let me know in the chat. And they recently reported 17 million registered users worldwide. And the US is the single largest country source of traffic to Letterboxd at the moment. What other community-based platforms are on the market? Well, I think one of the biggest ones, particularly here in the UK, is the opportunity with WhatsApp. And this year, I think I've never been part of more WhatsApp communities and groups. We're actually about to launch our brand new WhatsApp community called the Avocado Social Insiders, which is one of the incentives as part of our membership. So once you're an Avocado Social member, you get access to our insiders group. We're launching it in January, where you'll be able to see the latest social media updates, jobs, events and workshops, and also just general chit chat around cool campaigns that people have seen or do some problem solving together as well. So I do hope those of you that have become members recently or are part of our membership anyway will join us as part of that, and we'll be sending out the details next week. One thing that I keep hearing as well, if we're going to talk about community, we have got to talk about IRL events. And IRL events are making a big comeback at the moment. They are returning with a force. I think 6 years after COVID, we are very much ready for much more in-person meetups than ever before. And we've started to see this with brands as well. So some of my favorite brands here, Gale's Bakery, started a run club called Need for Speed. They meet, I think, once a month in various Gale's bakeries across the UK. And then we can see on the right-hand side another kind of run club here, which was sponsored by My Protein. So we're seeing a lot of these kind of in real life meetups, and certainly in the world of social media, I've been to probably more events this year than I have in the last 6 years, 7 years or so. So, what are the key takeaways from our community first platforms then? Well, if you're still thinking in terms of general reach and impressions, then I would say those are not the metrics to be looking at for next year. Obviously, we still do look at reach and impressions where we can, but when it comes to community, it's much more about building genuine trust in your brand. Community is built with presence, so joining conversations and answering questions and being genuinely helpful, showing up consistently is what's going to increase your brand awareness and your overall share of voice. Depth over breadth. So it's much better to have 200 deeply engaged community members than 20,000 passive followers. A follower really doesn't mean much to your brand anymore. And then finally, if we're talking about community, we've got to talk about control as well. You do need to let go of control a little bit more on platforms like Substack and Reddit and Discord and WhatsApp because you can't control what others are going to say about your brand. You can just kind of be there and participate. And it is much more of a less polished approach to perhaps creating a LinkedIn post or recording a corporate YouTube video. So brands do need to let go a little bit of that control and understand that on these more community-based platforms, there is going to be a lot more scrappy conversation and really getting into the meat of a topic.